Tonight, the great holiday getaway. What to expect as millions take to the skies and roads for Thanksgiving, plus the cost of filling up your gas tank, and what to know about the E. coli outbreak linked to organic carrots. And a prominent pastor suffers an apparent medical emergency in the middle of his sermon. We begin with the forecast. An active week ahead with winter weather alerts in the west, heavy snow in the mountains, rain and snow spreading across the east just as Thanksgiving approaches. Our weather team times it all out. Nearly 80 million Americans are expected to travel out of town for the holiday. The TSA predicts a record number of screenings this week, with military airspace opened up to handle the extra volume. How much will you pay for gas? Plus, the new warning about a sharp increase in cars being stolen from airport parking lots, and what's being done to keep the celebration safe. New developments in the E. coli outbreak linked to organic carrots. What the farm at the center of it is now saying. The second Trump administration is taking shape with all major cabinet choices already made. New concerns as the transition team is skipping FBI background checks. A tragic drowning at an Ivy League college, and now 2 students face charges for allegedly supplying alcohol to an underage person. A sorority is also facing separate charges. The victim's blood alcohol was reportedly twice the legal limit. The scramble to see the Menendez brothers in court. Interest is so intense, a lottery system will determine who gets in to see it. The brothers are hoping to be set free decades after being convicted of murdering their parents. Remembering Chuck Woolery, the game show host who introduced us to the Wheel of Fortune and hosted Love Connection long before the days of dating apps. And America Strong tonight, the emotions and the joy as forever families are officially united just in time for the holidays.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us on this Sunday. I'm Lindsay Davis. With Thanksgiving just a few days away, millions of Americans are getting ready to hit the roads and skies in likely record-breaking numbers. But that rush could get complicated. Rain and snow are in the forecast for both coasts throughout the week, including on Tuesday, one of the busiest travel days, and that may slow things down a bit. The TSA says 50,000 flights will be in the air, and the FAA is opening up restricted airspace on that day. Airports are already packed as some travelers get a jump on the rush. The weather could also snarl traffic on the roads, but there is some good news for drivers. Gas prices continue to fall. And more welcome news after that major carrot recall. One of the companies involved is reassuring consumers who are shopping for a staple of the Thanksgiving table. We have team coverage tonight. ABC News meteorologist Somara Theodore leads us off. Samara, what can travelers expect? Time this all out for us.
Well, Lindsay, we are anticipating an active weather week ahead, but there are more optimal times to travel. So what we expect on Monday is heavy snow in the west. We're also looking at rain in the Great Lakes. By Tuesday, that snow makes its way into the Rockies, and the I-95 corridor on the East Coast is lined with rain. Wednesday will be the more optimal time to travel for those in the Midwest on the East Coast, but we are anticipating very heavy snow for places like the Sierra Nevada, which could see 3 to 5 feet of snow through Wednesday, 1 to 2 feet in the Colorado Rockies. And for those headed to the Macy's Day Parade on Thanksgiving Day, just note that temperatures will be around 40 degrees, and we are anticipating rain along with snow in New England. Lindsay?
All right, lots of cold and precipitation. Samara, thank you. Travelers will no doubt be keeping an eye on the forecast. Nearly 80 million people are expected to leave home for the holiday. The airlines and TSA are getting ready. Here's ABC's Morgan Norwood from Newark Liberty International Airport.
Tonight, powerful storms threatening to dump chaos on what's expected to be the busiest Thanksgiving travel season ever. Millions of Americans already on the move.
I thought I was like beating the crowds, but apparently I'm not.
The TSA bracing for Tuesday when some 50,000 flights will take off. The FAA already opening special airspace used by the military off the East Coast and Gulf of Mexico.
A steady stream of passengers here at Newark Liberty Airport. It'll be a critical test for the FAA as they grapple with the shortage of air traffic controllers. It's impacting operations here and also across the Northeast.
We will use traffic flow management initiatives to deal with any staffing shortages on that particular day in this airspace, and we expect to have some of those shortages.
On the ground, the TSA says while passengers are seeing wait times at security checkpoints at their lowest levels, they're rolling out new technology to get you to your gate faster, like these new body scanners at Salt Lake City Airport. And airlines are gearing up too. Our Trevor Alt getting a first look at American Airlines' plan to expand their boarding technology.
Sometimes people try to cut the line, and now there's this new feature, a sound that's going to play if you try to go ahead of your group. So I have Patricia here who's going to show us how it works. If I were to try to board this flight early, Patricia, go ahead.
Good morning.
Other airlines teaming up with Apple, the company releasing an early software update helping passengers who have AirTags alert the airline to track misplaced luggage.
And Lindsay, airport officials warning travelers to expect long lines starting today. American, Delta, and United, they all say this will be their busiest holiday season ever. In fact, United planning to put up an extra 400 flights per day just to handle the demand here, Lindsay.
All right, Morgan, hopefully that'll make a difference. Thank you. Tonight, some welcome news for the millions of Americans hitting the roads. Gas prices continue to fall. The nationwide average is now $3.05, down more than 20 cents from a year ago, and the lowest for this time of year since 2001. But that comes amid a rash of airport car thefts. ABC's Faith Abubey has the details from Atlanta.
Lower gas prices this year expected to fuel a record Thanksgiving travel crush on American roads. Last Thanksgiving, the national average was $3.26. This time, more than half the country already seeing prices at the pump below $3 per gallon. It's a boost for the more than 70 million Americans eager to hit the road to reunite with friends and family.
It's going to be the cheapest Thanksgiving in almost 5 years if you're filling your tank up.
According to AAA, 1.7 million more people are opting to drive this Thanksgiving compared to 2023. And as the travel rush kicks into high gear, data showing a dramatic increase in thieves targeting travelers parked in airport lots. Since January, more than 300 vehicles stolen at the Atlanta airport. At Dallas-Fort Worth, an organized crime ring blamed for about $5 million worth of vehicle thefts.
And Lindsay, here at the Atlanta airport, officials tell us they've increased parking staff, surveillance cameras, and police patrols in garages like this one to discourage thieves. In addition to that, more than 24 officers are now certified to use tire deflation spikes to stop stolen vehicles from leaving the property. Lindsay.
Definitely don't want to return from the holidays with a stolen car. Faith, thank you. Law enforcement across the country is on high alert ahead of the holiday. And here in New York, while there are no specific threats ahead of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, officials are not taking any chances. ABC's Ike Ajachi joins us now here in New York. Ike, what are authorities most concerned about?
Well, Lindsay, the NYPD is on high alert tonight as they're preparing for the nation's largest Thanksgiving celebration, the 98th annual Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And it's expected to draw around 2 million spectators. And according to a joint threat assessment obtained by ABC News, federal law enforcement agencies consider the parade an attractive target for both foreign and domestic terrorists. Now, it's important to note, the assessment says there is no specific or actionable threat to this year's event. But law enforcement raises particular concern about lone offenders and small groups targeting the crowd. Now, Lindsay, the NYPD has been especially busy in recent days, chasing down suspects in multiple stabbings and slashings. The random attacks are putting people in the city and visitors on edge as we head into the holiday weekend. Lindsay?
A lot of people concerned. Ike, thank you. Just ahead of Thanksgiving, a major producer of organic carrots is hoping to reassure consumers after a multi-state E. coli outbreak linked to some of its products. Grimway Farm says all of the carrots currently on store shelves are safe. ABC's Melissa Adan reports tonight from the impacted farm in California.
Tonight, as families prepare for Thanksgiving dinner, one of the largest producers of carrots in the United States urging shoppers that the products they see on grocery store shelves today are not part of its nationwide recall. California-based Grimway Farms, a supplier to Trader Joe's, Wegmans, and Kroger, expanding a voluntary recall after several of their products were linked to a deadly E. coli outbreak. One person died, while 39 others have been sickened, 15 of them hospitalized. The company's president and CEO speaking directly to shoppers, saying consumers should feel confident that the carrots available for purchase on store shelves today are safe. An FDA investigation remains ongoing, but it's not the only recall putting consumers on alert. The Michigan-based Wolverine Packing Company is recalling more than 165,000 pounds of ground beef products, also possibly contaminated with E. coli. There have been 19 reported illnesses in Minnesota after the products were shipped to restaurants nationwide. The company has said it is cooperating with investigators and conducting an internal audit.
Officials are warning, Lindsay, that while the tainted products are no longer for sale, they could be in your refrigerator or your freezer. So they're asking people to check out those possible recalled items before eating or serving them. Lindsay?
Melissa, thank you. The Trump transition team is racing through the picks for the new administration. Nearly all of the positions that require Senate approval have been filled, but that may not mean the transition is on schedule because the transition team has not signed the required paperwork. Cabinet choices are not getting the FBI background checks the Senate has traditionally required. Here's ABC's White House correspondent Karen Travers.
Tonight, President-elect Donald Trump's second-term cabinet is nearly complete. With a flurry of announcements this weekend, Trump nominating heads for each of the 15 agencies that comprise the cabinet. Among the last chosen, longtime ally Brooke Rollins, nominated for Agriculture Secretary. The most notable announcement on Friday, the president-elect selecting for Treasury Secretary billionaire Wall Street veteran Scott Bessent, an economic advisor and fundraiser for Trump who also spent years working for a Democratic mega-donor. Bessent, a supporter of Trump's proposed use of tariffs and extending tax cuts made in his first term, winning the bitter battle for this top spot. Rounding out the picks, Oregon Congresswoman Lori Chavez-DeRemer to lead the Labor Department, and surgeon and regular on Fox News, Dr. Marty Makary, chosen to lead the Food and Drug Administration. The major hurdle tonight, Trump's nominees have not undergone the traditional required FBI background checks ahead of Senate confirmation hearings because the Trump team still hasn't signed a necessary memo of understanding with the Justice Department.
Everybody's going to get a fair shake. Everybody's going to have the opportunity to be able to go through this process, and we'll let the process work out.
The move alarming some in Congress.
Why wouldn't we get these background checks for the most important job in the United States government?
I don't think the American public cares who does the background checks. What the American public cares about is to see the mandate that they voted in delivered upon.
Lindsay, Republicans will not take control of the Senate until early January. They'll work quickly to hold hearings on President-elect Trump's cabinet nominees to try to confirm them as soon as Trump takes office. Lindsay?
The Trump administration really moving at lightning speed. Karen, thank you. To the Middle East today, Hezbollah fired more than 250 missiles and other projectiles into Israel. According to the IDF, at least 6 people were injured. It comes after Israel struck central Beirut this weekend, killing at least 29 people and wounding dozens more. ABC's Lama Hassan joins us now from London. And Lama, tell us about today's attacks.
Yeah, Lindsay, tonight Israel's war against Hezbollah is escalating. The militant group launching their largest barrage of rockets in recent weeks. And according to the IDF, around 250 projectiles slamming into areas in northern and central Israel. At least 6 Israelis were injured. The attacks were in retaliation to the Israeli military strike in the early hours of Saturday morning, hitting a residential building in a densely populated area in the heart of Beirut, killing at least 29 people. No word yet on the target. Israel also striking a Lebanese army base, killing 1 Lebanese soldier. The IDF says they hit an area of combat operations, and the incident is under review. And Lindsay, Lebanon's prime minister, calling it a bloody message, rejecting all efforts to reach a ceasefire. Lindsay.
A ceasefire seems as elusive as ever. Lama, thank you. Here at home, charges tonight in the death of a Dartmouth College student found dead near a river this summer after a night of drinking. 2 fraternity brothers and a sorority are facing misdemeanor charges. Let's bring in ABC's Rena Roy. And Rena, what are you learning?
Well, Lindsay, investigators have charged both students with a misdemeanor for allegedly supplying alcohol to an underage individual. 20-year-old One Jang of Delaware was reported missing back in July and later found dead in the Connecticut River after authorities say he was drinking at that party with other members of his Beta Alpha Omega fraternity. Also charged in his death, the Alpha Phi sorority, because police say some of its members hosted the party. Both the fraternity and sorority have been suspended from campus. University officials saying these suspensions remain in effect pending the results of Dartmouth's internal investigation and conduct process, which is still ongoing. Police reportedly saying that foul play is not suspected, but they have not said whether hazing is being considered as a potential factor. Lindsay.
Rena, thank you. Tributes tonight for legendary game show host Chuck Woolery. He was the first host of Wheel of Fortune, but he was probably best known for the 1980s hit Love Connection, which featured couples going on a first date. He later became a conservative podcaster. Here's ABC's Jacqueline Lee.
Tonight, remembering smooth-talking game show host Chuck Woolery.
So I'm going to give the Wheel of final spin of the day, okay?
He was the first host of Wheel of Fortune in 1975. Later, the face of Scrabble and Love Connection. Love Connection aired long before the era of dating apps.
It sounds a little chauvinistic, but I'd like to be the one that makes the most money in the household.
It's a lot chauvinistic, Mike.
Yeah.
Woolery's toss to commercials, iconic.
You hear everything that happened on that date. We'll do it in 2 and 2. Be right back.
In 2007, Woolery was inducted into the American TV Game Show Hall of Fame. His coiffed hair and witty banter winning the hearts of viewers nationwide. Also earning a Daytime Emmy nomination in 1978. His podcast co-host and friend Mark Young said in an email early Sunday that Woolery died at his Texas home with his wife by his side. He was 83. Lindsay, Woolery is survived by his wife, 2 sons, and a daughter. Lindsay.
Jacqueline, thank you. There's still much more ahead here on World News Tonight this Sunday, including the scramble for seats as the Menendez brothers are set to appear in court. They're both serving life for murdering their parents. And concern for the pastor of a megachurch after he suffers an apparent medical episode during Sunday services. Lyle and Eric Menendez are due in court in Los Angeles tomorrow, and the interest is so intense, a lottery is being held to determine which 16 spectators will get to witness the proceeding. The Menendez brothers are serving life sentences for murdering their parents in 1989. They have claimed it was self-defense after years of abuse by their parents, and the newly elected DA is reviewing a request for a resentencing that could lead to their release. Next, the pastor of a megachurch in Dallas suffered an apparent medical issue today while delivering his sermon. Bishop T.D. Jakes, the pastor at the Potter's House, stopped talking and was given medical attention during his hour-long sermon. The church later described it as a slight health incident and said Jakes is recovering in stable condition. Jakes founded the church in 1996. It has more than 30,000 members. When we come back, it could be a new dynasty, 3 straight championships for a high school for the deaf. To the index now. Hip-hop superstar Kendrick Lamar gave his fans an early holiday present, releasing his album Gen X on Friday.
Reincarnated, I was stargazing.
And the fans returned the favor. Within one day of its release, the album's 12 tracks held all of the top 12 spots on the Apple Music Top 100 charts. You'll be seeing plenty of Lamar in the months ahead. He's headlining the Super Bowl halftime show in February. It's been a big weekend at the box office. The big budget musical Wicked was #1, earning $114 million in ticket sales in North America. That makes it the 3rd biggest opening of the year. Gladiator 2 took in $55 million domestically. Worldwide, those 2 movies, collectively known as Glicked, brought in $270 million. And congratulations to the California School for the Deaf. Friday night, they won their 3rd consecutive football championship, beating Flint Ridge Prep 44-42 in a game that went right down to the wire. The players and coaches for the School for the Deaf communicate using sign language. Head coach Keith Adams said the kids really wanted this. Congratulations to them. When we come back, the family celebrations on what many call the happiest day of the year. Finally tonight, moments of joy as families become complete. In courtrooms all across the country this week,
this adoption is hereby finalized.
Scenes reflective of this season of gratitude as foster children officially joined their forever families on National Adoption Day. In Michigan, 14-year-old Eli Kolnick is finally a big brother.
It feels great. It feels amazing.
The Kolnicks have been taking care of Olivia since she was just 5 weeks old.
It is the best feeling that she's finally a Kolnick, and it's just, she's finally officially my daughter.
In Connecticut, Doris Brown has been fostering 2-year-old Kenyatta from an infant.
You have loved her and you have nurtured her, not knowing for how long she would remain in your family. And I just want to let you know that uncertainty ends today.
Tears of joy as the judge makes the adoption official.
It is in the best interest, absolutely the best interest of Kenyatta, for the court to approve this adoption.
If I'm able to help just one child to change a generation, then I believe this is my assignment.
They understood the assignment, and what a heartwarming assignment it is. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Lindsay Davis. David Muir right back here tomorrow. Until then, have a great night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.